the Sanskrit language? Kete. What are they? Kete. Vidyarthi. Antevasin. And then Shishya. What does Vidyarthi mean? One who wants any kind of knowledge. Doesn't have to be self-knowledge. The one who is curious. The one who wants to take everything apart. And the one who is just keeping on asking for something or the other. Vidya, Arthi. Arthi is the asker. But doesn't have to be self-knowledge. It can be anything. And Antevasin, what's it called? Translation? Inmate. Inmate of what? Zenitentiary. Yeah. So, inmate. And it's a very interesting thing, inmate. What is this inmate? Inmate means that knows enough to go ask for knowledge, knows that I have to go somewhere and study, knows that there is such a thing called Gurukula, and even though the decision to go there may be for some other reasons, but goes there nonetheless and attends all the classes also. He has gone in the Gurukulam, but what is going in his head is, or her head is, questionable. We don't know. He's doing all the right things. The person is going through the motions, but whether they are getting the knowledge or not, we don't know. They are more like, what's that? Antevasi is more a status of someone who follows all the rules. If you have to extrapolate. Wakes up in the morning, goes here, goes there, does yoga and, all these things. Does pranayama and listens to what goes to attend all the classes, goody two shoes. But whether the person is learning or not, that is not the criteria here. Now, Shishya he doesn't say, Vidyarthi ham, Vidyarthi te ham, Shadhimam, Tvam Prapannam. And he doesn't say Antevasi, Antevasi aham. And he doesn't say that either. What does he say? Shishyasteham. And so this Shishyata or Shishyatvam has to do with Prapannatvam. This Prapanna. The Prapanna means what? Pra plus Pat. Yes. Pat means fall. Yeah. And what is falling here? All the notions. That is what is surrendered. That my way of trying to get out of this situation is leading me into a tangled web, putting a spider to shame, and I am in this kind of a web. And we're not talking of the World Wide Web. We're talking of the very web of deceit, for flaws, web of limitations, web of samsara. So whatever way I'm going, it seems that it's blocked. And in fact, Arjuna recognizes this because he was in a vyuha. What is this vyuha? A formation. He knows the battle formation. There is chakra vyuha, square vyuha, triangular vyuha. And he was in a circular vyuha as far as his thinking pattern is concerned. Yeah. Not able to get out of it. He is completely inundated by his thinking and he's gone into this formation. His own thoughts are the enemy. They have, come closer, closer, closer and completely ganged upon him, and he doesn't know a way out. And hence the surrender is that I am no longer able to solve this problem. So therefore I am surrendering. And nishchitam yat shreyasyat. Shreyasyat yat tat nishchitam te vada bruhi. Bruhi means vada, tell. Nishchitam vada, tell me in a way that I can understand. And here there are, Shreyas has a common meaning, a relative meaning, what is generally good. Because, one person who wants to sell the car and one person wants to buy the car. So for the one who is wanting to buy the car, to get a car cheaply, that just manages to clear the parking lot, that kind of a car, is Shreyas. And for the one who wanted to get rid of that car, cheaply, and to just get it off of his hands, the selling is Shreyas. See, two opposite actions, both are considered Shreyas, both go away happy, the seller and the buyer. But that's not what is talked about here. What is talked about? The absolute Shreyas. Means that which is good for everybody. How can one thing be good for everybody? Because that everyone is just one alone. The every is a superimposition on one. Yeah, that's why it's everyone. Yeah, that's what it is. It's one, really. So that every is a superimposition. The every is the apparent reality, each and every. And each and every, but what is the reality? The one. Yeah, that is the substantive. The other one is just a, a prefix. Prefix, Jagat is a prefix. That's all it is. Jagat is a prefix to the self. That's all it is. Yeah. That's all it is. And so therefore, here, something can be absolutely good and absolutely appropriate and absolutely the thing they want if it is, universal. And if the problem is universal, then only it can be absolutely applicable to everybody. And this is what the Kathopanishad tries to tell. We are studying a lot of Kathopanishad these days. And what does the Kathopanishad say? That there are two things that one wants. One is called prayers. Very simple in English. It's simply things that you pray upon. Prayers. Yeah. I want this, I want that. Either you pray for or you pray upon. If you think it is in your hands, you pray upon. Otherwise you keep praying for it. This is prayers. From Priya. The E becomes A because of Guna. Yeah, prayers. So prayers means that which is lovable. This is the relative. Yeah. The relative good, which is lovable, meaning what is lovable, Somebody says that some small furry animal is lovable. The one who is allergic to fur will say, get that thing out of my space. If I am here, it cannot be in sharing the same space because I am upset. Looking at it, I am upset. And I start to cough and sneeze and my eyes are watering just by the sight of it. Get this thing out of here. This is not prayas for me. But then Shreyas transcends the Ragadveshas and goes to the source of the Ragadveshas, that what is inside those Ragadveshas that makes this, these Ragadveshas, what is the source of the Ragadveshas that makes this individual a bundle of likes and dislikes. So what is the source? Insecurity is the source. Self-non-acceptance is the source. Self-judgment is the source. Incompleteness is the source. In other words, ignorance connected to the self, centered on the self, is the source of all Ragadveshas. Ragadveshas stem in the fertile ground of ignorance. They just nicely become green and lush. Yes. And then, the person tills the ignorance with seeds of non-acceptance, seeds of mistaken identity. Already the ground is rife with ignorance, and the seeds of mistaken identity watered with notions, miracle grow potions, and then what? And then you have, Sasya Shalini, Ragadveshas going up and down like this. The whole populated. So it's no use pulling out individual Ragadveshas in clumps. What is the use? They grow back. So therefore you go to the root. You go to the root here and see. You tackle this, cut the cord of this self non-acceptance and self-judgment, and that's what the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita sets out to do. You cut that basic cord of ignorance. Ignorance gone, then all the nutrients are gone, nothing to sustain. There is no earth to sustain the Ragadveshas, and there are no earthworms of doubt burrowing in and out and creating a fertile ground. Everything is gone. Everything stops. The Ragadveshas get stopped. They are not fed anymore. So then what happens? Then we have to, this is what he is planning to do, and this is what he wants, because he understands. Even though he says Shishyasteham Shadhimam Prapannam in this mantra, in this verse, in the next verse he says something even more mature than this. He says that this sorrow is not going to go away. I understand that. And that's how you know, by this sangati, this connection that he is asking for the absolute Shreyas. He is not asking for prayers. You know. And then in the Kathopanishad it says that, the Dhiraha Shreyo Vrinite. The Dhira asks for Shreya. The one who has Viveka. Absolute Shreyas. And the relative Shreyas who wants, called prayers, who wants Yoga Kshemad Mando Vrinite. What is Manda? Mudha. Slightly dull. Deluded and dull. You can't blame the person. The wits have become dull. Witness has become witless. The thinking is dull because too much samsara. And too much samsara weighing on the mind, preoccupied, all the time worried. And so there's not enough heart space. Inner space is not there to just be and enjoy. All the time, just completely, the head is filled with nonsense. And this is what is, crowded. So this is the person who is manda and little slow on the uptake and, all the time making the same errors, even though the consequences of those errors are going to the same place. They are all coming to the same place, and what is happening? You are in the same rut again. But not recognizing that is manda. And why doesn't the manda recognize that? The manda doesn't recognize that because the manda is preoccupied with yoga and kshema. Yoga means, yoga, kshema together are security. Yoga, I have defined before. What is that?
To get what one doesn't have.
Yeah. Apraptasya prapanam yoga. Gaining of something that is not there, that one does not possess, is called yoga. And what is kshema? Yeah. To hug what you already have. No, you can't have it. This is mine. Don't even look at it, This is kshema. Because many things you have worked very hard for, from money onwards, and then you don't want other people to have it. See, this is kshema. So this yoga kshema is all, is breeding ground for yoga kshema is insecurity. And so yoga kshema becomes paramount for those who are insecure. And because that becomes paramount, you see the wrong thinking goes all the way. Because of that they choose the wrong things. So for them there is no Shreyas. Absolute Shreyas does not feature as a choice. And since the absolute Shreyas does not feature as a choice, they don't need a guru. You don't need a guru to get yoga kshema. You are enough. Yeah. Don't drag the guru and say, how should I find yoga kshema? That's not the guru's job. You don't need a guru. Read what is that called? DIY book. Read and go. That's all it is. So the person who sees beyond yoga kshema naturally sees some light at the end of this yoga kshema spiraling tunnel, and then knows it is there but doesn't know how to get there, thinks it is within oneself but doesn't know how to access that. That is the person who needs the teacher. You don't need yoga kshema if you are after. You don't need a guru. And so the person who gives himself, herself to the teacher in a very complete way, that is what is called pranipat or prapat. Prapat, pra plus pat, prapannaha. The one who has given himself or herself, meaning I want to be taught. And you have to show that. It's not some kind of a dalliance with the teaching. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll have Shraddha. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I will not. Sunday off. Yeah. It doesn't work. And a lot of people do this dalliance with the teaching and the teacher. They come close and then they get angry and go away, or they just get disappointed and go away, or they get, scared and go away, or not even scared. There's one more thing. They get suspicious. Oh, this teacher is taking work out of me. Okay, I'm going to leave. And all right. So all these things are there. This alternate day Shraddha doesn't work. Yeah. That works for street cleaning in big cities, Yeah, in San Francisco, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can't park on this side. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you can't park on the other side. Sunday, you can't park anywhere, period. So, in other words, you have to carry the car on the head. Yeah. The whole time. Or find ways to shrink it quickly, using some magic. So, This is what it is. So, you have to find a place for parking the Shraddha. You can't say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to be a little far away. Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to come curbside. And then Sunday, I'm going to be AWOL. And, this is what it is. You have to find a place to park the Shraddha and park it there, keep it parked. This is what it is. Every other day, Shraddha doesn't work. And Arjuna displays all that. And he says, I don't know how to get out of this situation. The situation is one of, is a surface. The situation is very beautifully brought up. There is an objective situation. What is the objective situation? These fellows are standing there. Who? Yeah, B and D. Bhishma and Drona, etc. They are standing there, larger than life, and they are waiting for his arrows. This is a fact. Now, if Arjuna had self-knowledge, this may have startled him a little bit, perhaps, or not even that. He would have been able to see past this. But the fact that he is not seeing past this, and he is instead being overcome with sympathy, sorrow, grief, and all kinds of bad feelings connected to himself, shows that there is some processing needs to be done. Because if that sadness wasn't there inside him, then it would not have been, evoked by what he saw in the battlefield. He's been to many battles. This is not his first battle. He's not cutting his teeth at this battle. He's already, he's a stalwart, he's a great warrior, seasoned fellow. And he's seen many battles, he's seen maimed and dead bodies all over, he's seen a bloodbath. It's not a problem for him. All these days it didn't affect him. And this one affected him because in those days there was some other ambition, raga, dvesha, functioning. Now, with a maturity perhaps gained after 12 years roughing it out in the forest, he had a vanavasa and coming back and staying incognito, staying invisible, because these Bhima, Arjuna, all these people cannot be invisible. Yeah, Bhima literally cannot be invisible. Yeah. Where are you going to hide him? It's like hiding, the skin were butte. Where are you going to hide? He is standing like this, like a mountain. Where are you going to hide it? So these people are not used to being invisible. They are princely and they have ego and they are used to, being very flashy and knowing where they stand and delighting in, delighting in showing off their archery skills and, regaling everyone. I mean, he would throw some fruit into the air and throw an arrow, and how many people were gathered, that many pieces would fall into their hands. This is Arjuna. This he is doing just for fun. He's not, nobody has asked him to do this. He just does this. In one hand, he's ambidextrous. One hand throws a fruit up in the air. And then as it is going up and coming down, he throws the arrow. He counts the people, 7 people, throws the arrow, 7 pieces fall right where they are standing. This is Arjuna. Show off, So for him to say, I don't know the way out of this, because he never thought of surrendering. Who to surrender to? Everybody should surrender to me. Who are all these people? Who should I surrender to? No one. Maybe when he went to do some yajna, he would, like a good Vaidika, he would bow his head down. That was it. Where is he going? What is he surrendering to? Why should he surrender? He does like this. Servants come from all directions and fight with each other. Who, we want to serve him, we want to serve him. This is his life. Who is he going to surrender to? And so therefore this coming from him is a huge thing, because he has recognized that he has always been slightly depressed. He has recognized that the war has brought it out, no matter, no doubt. But this sorrow is not going to go away. And that's what makes him say that I am your Shishya. Please teach me. Now the thing is this, he in fact commands to teach, Adhi, that is the lot, imperative second person. You have to teach, I am your Shishya. Krishna could have said, no way. Who asked you to ask for knowledge here? Don't you have any shame? Do you look at all these people eager for these arrows and eager to get into the battle? The kettle drums have already sounded, the conch shells have blown, and this is not the time. You know, what were you doing in the forest for 12 years? Eating bananas? That is the time you should have asked. This is neither the time nor the place. Get up, fight. You know, let's pretend that this conversation never happened. Yeah. Because Guru need not teach. Why should the Guru teach? Just because, you know, you go and present yourself. The Guru doesn't have to teach. You know. But then, there is no reason for the Guru not to teach either. Yeah. Why shouldn't the Guru teach? You know. So, but now the ball is in Krishna's court to decide if this fellow is worthy of being taught. Because that is when the Guru will teach. You know. That is when the teaching happens. If there is Shishyatvam, the teaching happens. That's what it is. As long as there is Shishyatvam, teaching continues to happen. If the Shishyatvam disappears, teaching also disappears. Yes, this is what happens. And so, this is what, prompted Krishna to start teaching, because he was requesting him. And he said, I am your Shishya, and they were not just lip service words. He saw that he was earnest. He was an earnest seeker. And then the next mantra, that the next verse clinched the whole deal. And what does he say? Nahi prapashyami, I do not see. Indeed, nahi prapashyami, I do not see. What? Mama apanudyat, I do not see anything that would nahi prapashyami yat, we have to supply apanudyat. Yat is already there. Yeah, yat apanudyat nahi prapashyami yat shokam uchhoshanam indriyanam apanudyat. Apanudyat means that which will be undone, removed, warded off, taken out. What? You know? Yeah, shokam. Yat shokam becomes yat chokam. Ut plus shoshanam, uchhoshanam. So he says, I have a sadness. That sadness, yat shokam, which sadness is basically driving me senseless. It's evaporating the thinking capacity of the sense organs. It's drying me inside out. It's vacuuming me out. I'm hoovered from within. A very interesting way to put the situation. It's dehydrating my senses. Meaning, already he said I'm paralyzed, I cannot move. That is, sense organs includes the organs of action. So it's paralyzing him. And the sense organs are not cooperating, because he said, why do I need Rajyam? Why do I need this? Why do I need that? He already said all these things. So he says that I am not able to see past this situation. Nahi prapashyami. I'm not. Prapashyami means clearly see. Is he able to clearly see? No. That's why he says, na. He. Not indeed I am able to clearly see. What? Yat shokam utshoshanan indriyanam cha. That sorrow which is cleaving at my senses and clouding my sensory perceptions to make them subjective. And then what? And I don't see a way how, whose senses? Mama, my senses, my sorrow. He owns it up, because this is a very graceful thing to do. He says the sorrow is centered on me, even though I'm using this lament of Bhishma Drona. I have been with this sorrow for some time. And then he says that avapya bhumau. So even this sorrow will not go. Apanudyat has to be, taken here also. Will not go. This sorrow will not be removed. Even bhumau avapya, gaining on this earth. What? Rajyam, a kingdom. Asapatnam riddham cha. Riddham means totally prosperous. Asapatnam unrivaled. How did this word come from? Because in those days, these fellows had more than one wife. And the relationship between one wife and another wife, they had to be friends. There was no other relationship. They had to be like sisters or sisters-in-law or whatever it is. They had to live like sisters. And then because these alliances were done for the sake of expanding the kingdom, all these kinds of things. And I think to a certain extent they had to do with the male-female ratio. There were more women than men. So with the exception of Draupadi, who had 5 husbands, the rest of the fellows had 1 or 2 wives, 2 or 3 wives sometimes, and kings had an harem, So this was not something, this was very unexceptionable in those times. And he says, so when one king who already, they were all gradations. The one who was married first was the chief queen, and then the younger one. So based on the hierarchies, the goodies also came, and then the youngest queen would have to wear the hand-me-downs of the older queens. All the gowns and the saris and everything. Here, this is all for you because I'm getting new ones, you have to wear this. So there were all these rules perhaps. And then when the second queen or the third queen was married, this was very interesting. So they were called sapatni. Sapatni means co-wives. Yeah, very interesting ritual. The ritual is that there is a herb, what is that? Some kind of a flowering herb. And when they make the garland to welcome the new bride, and that garland, and also to the garland, the marriage garland that is exchanged by the bride and the groom, and they would always put, when the second queen is getting married, a herb called sapatni mardanam, the killing of the co-wives, that which causes, not that the co-wife is going to die, she is not going to die, but the husband's love for her should evaporate as soon as he inhales the herb. He should only love this new one. This is what the idea was. And how do we know this? Because Kalidasa, Bhasa, all these people in their plays, they mention it. In Swapna Vasavadatta, one very nice play is there. They, this minister called Yaugandharayana, he wants the king to get married because the eastern side of the kingdom has got a lot of, problems, because there is some people who will come and everything. So he wants to strengthen the defenses by marrying into some family close to that, a princely family, and he wants him to take another wife. But the king is madly in love with Vasavadatta, the first wife. He says, I don't need any other wife. They are so much in love with one another. So this Swapna Vasavadatta is a story of how they stage a fire. Very interesting. This is written in 1st BC. And they stage a fire. Yaugandharayana does all this. He conscripts Vasavadatta's cooperation. She is not happy, She is not happy at all that he should marry again. But she understands the political exigencies of the time, and she's half-heartedly convinced to do this. And what happens is that he stages a fire. And having staged a fire, he says that Vasavadatta has perished. And there is a whole act in the play, how he laments, he doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, he becomes a shadow of his old self, the king. And then finally the marriage alliance with the other one is broached. Then he says, all right, fine. He doesn't care. He says, all right, I'll marry. So he agrees to the marriage. Then Vasavadatta is brought in through the back door as a friend to the new queen. And Vasavadatta parades, she wears, we are told, a light kind of a sannyasi color, brownish color, because she says, my husband is working abroad somewhere. Yeah. So she is called Proshita Bhartrika, meaning my husband is not anywhere around. And those women whose husbands were out of town, they sometimes used to do certain things, like they used to take some vows or complete some mantras or go into a state of meditation. So, and one of her vows is that I'm not going to look at men, because she could not, come in front of her husband. He would recognize and the whole plot would go. And so there is a very interesting scene in this marriage hall where she is helping do the malas for the queen and the king. So she makes a very nice mala for him, and then secretly puts a lot of herbs for the husband to love her, the first wife. Okay. And then when the mala for the queen is being made, the queen to be is also sitting there, and and all the advisors say, "Oh, what about Sapatni Vardhanam? What about this herb?" And she says, "Well, if the king's first wife is dead, she doesn't like to put that in there, because it's all about her, right? Sapatni Vardhanam means it's like bad, it's bad vibing her, so she doesn't want that." She diplomatically says, "Well, the first wife is not an issue here. First wife is not even there. She is already dead. So why do you need this herb?" So she weeds out the herb. So from that time, whatever is unrivaled is called asapatnam, and sapatnam means the one that has some rivalry there. So here, Rajyam, Bhumau Rajyam, on the earth, not in the earth, on the earth. So, on the earth, locative always doesn't have to be in, okay? Yeah, on the earth. So, in, on, all these are okay. So, on the earth, Bhumau, asapatnam riddham means unrivaled by any other, unrivaled in abundance, unrivaled in prosperity, unrivaled by threats by any other neighbors. Meaning a total, not just a vassal kind of a situation where you are, like the Indian kings under the British Raj. They could retain the title king, but that's where everything stopped. Not like this. This is a real kingdom. Asapatnam riddham. And this is so populous and a wonderful kingdom, real kingdom with real powers, unrivaled kingdom on earth, without any enemies, without anything to worry about. The coffers are always full and the people are glowing, money is flowing, economy is good, Maybe he was talking about the 90s. So, and so this is what, Arjuna says, even this ideal, typical kind of kingdom will not drive away the vestiges of this sorrow that lurk in my heart. He's being honest. Nahi apanudyat, this will not go away. Even if I had, avapya, gaining, bhumau, gaining on this earth, an unrivaled kingdom in terms of wealth, protection, people, cooperation and loyalty. In all these ways, even gaining that, this sorrow is here to stay. It's not going to make me happy. And then he goes further. This Rajyam, not just Bhumau, not just on the earth. Even if you give me a celestial kingdom, you say, Shu, Indra, go. Arjuna, come, sit. You put me in Indra's place and crown me as the next Indra. Rajyam Suranam Api. And that Adhipatyam, that overlordship you give me, I will still be a sad ruler of the Sura Lokas, of all the heavenly planes. I will be a sad ruler. Why? Because I am a sad Arjuna. So, sad Arjuna plus kingdom, sad Arjuna king, sad Arjuna devotee, sad Arjuna husband, sad Arjuna father, sad Arjuna grandfather, sad Arjuna friend. So all these things are just pluses to the original sad Arjuna. Yes. So the sad has to become Sat. This is Vedanta. From sad to Sad. This is what is Vedanta. So therefore, Krishna takes him seriously. Anybody can come and say, I am your Shishya. But for the teacher to take you seriously, for the student to be taken seriously, the student has to show an earnestness and has to convince that, okay, this is what I really want, and has to show not just through, smiling, but also through, the seriousness with regard to the pursuit and the studies. Otherwise, who wants to teach, and who is going to teach? No one. But Krishna is very compassionate and he appears to take on Arjuna as a disciple. But before that we have a little more melodrama, as narrated by Sanjaya. Eva muktva, having said these words, unto whom? Unto whom? Yeah, what's the word there? Yeah, Sanjaya Uvacha. Rishikesham. Unto Rishikesha Uvacha Evam Uktva. Having said unto Rishikesha, who said?
Arjuna.
What is that called? Gudakesha. Yeah, Gudakesha said to Rishikesha. So Gudakesha must be Krishna, right? No. Yes. So Gudakesha said to Rishikesha. What is the meaning of Gudakesha? Huh?
Needs very less.
Yeah, who has conquered sleep. Who can sleep anywhere and who is the master of sleep. What is Rishikesha? The master of the waking state. No?
Conquered the Indriyas.
The one who is the master of the Indriyas. Rishikanam Indriyanam Ishaha. Rishi Keshaha. Rishikanam Rishi, and then Rishi is the masculine noun. Rishikana. Guda is the feminine. Gudaka is feminine noun. Gudakayaha Ishaha. Gudakeshaha. So that is feminine noun. This is masculine noun. So Gudakesha said to Rishikesha, Eva Muktva Rishikesham Gudakeshaha. Who is this Gudakesha? Varantapa, the one who who had to look at the enemies with his laser eyes and they would be scarred for life. Yes, they had to go to a burn center after being gazed by Arjuna's laser gaze. Yes, that is the power of his scorchy eyesight. He was so scary where his enemies were concerned. And then here, all that scare tactics, has what? Has left him scared. That's why it's an ironical. This Parantapa, the one who on the battlefield who was unsurpassed, is now himself scared and looking for his mummy every 2 minutes. And then, what did he say?
I shall not fight.
No, in Sanskrit. Speak Sanskrit. What did he say?
Sya
Nayotsye. Nayotsye. Yeah, when the E comes, the A goes away. Many things go away, but A mostly goes away. So, Nayotsye, I shall not fight. He said, after saying all these things as though that was not enough, he staged the final dharana. What is dharana? The resistance, protest. I don't know if you're going to teach me or not, Krishna, but I'm not going to fight. Yeah. Nayotsye iti uktva Govindam uktva. And who did he say it to? Govinda. Who is Govinda? Gobhihi vindate yaha. The one whose truth is found in words. Which words? First words of the Shastra. Yes, not just words of, not in alphabet soup. Yeah. Words of the Pramana. Gobhihi vindate yaha Govinda. It's interesting because he approaches him as the teacher, so that's why the word Govinda is used. And he says, I'm not going to fight. Uktva, what did he do? Tushnim. Yeah. Babhuva. Ha. Indeed. Tushnim babhuva. For a change he became quiet, silent. He mimicked Dakshinamurti. Mauna vyakya prakatitam. So, and this is what his maunam and Dakshinamurti's maunam, there is a big gap, as big as the biggest crater on the moon. So that large a gap. Why? Because Dakshinamurti's maunam is a maunam of contentment, a maunam of fullness. His maunam is a maunam of discontented and confused withdrawal. Yeah, you see, there is no connection. So he kept very quiet. Yes, Jihasa Vairagya has set in, and he doesn't want to do anything. He wants to retreat, he wants to withdraw because he doesn't see a way out. That's why, And then, Sanjaya is still speaking. 10th verse. Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor madhye Vishidantamidam vachaha Tam Vishidantam Rishikeshaha. Vishidantam qualifies tam. Tam Vishidantam Rishikeshaha idam vachaha prahasanniva he Bharata senayoho ubhayoho madhye uvacha. This is if you make this into a sentence, this is called Anvaya, this is how it will more or less read. So, Tam Uvacha, unto him, unto whom? Vishidantam, unto the afflicted fellow, who else? Vishidantam is the one who is totally and completely overcome by affliction, has identified with the affliction. So, Tam Vishidantam, unto him who has identified with his affliction, who Uvacha, Rishikeshaha Uvacha. And where does this Bharata come from? Bharata is Dhritarashtra. Remember, this one is telling, narrating. Who? Sanjaya. So Sanjaya is narrating, hey Bharata, oh Dhritarashtra, do you know what happened? After this terrible thing happened and this fellow slumped down in the brace position in the chariot, then Rishikesha talked to this afflicted fellow called Arjuna, and unto that afflicted fellow said the following words. So Tam Uvacha Vishidantam Tam Uvacha Rishikesha. And where did he say these words? The locative case. What is in locative case there? Yeah, Madhye. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. In between the two armies. He didn't say, let's go out for coffee, let's forget this war, and then while we are sitting on a couch in Starbucks, I will teach you there because it will be quieter. Or he didn't say, let's walk to Rishikesh, it's a few days away, and in the quiet of the trees and ashrams, I will teach you there. He didn't say that either. Right there in the middle of the two bad armies, right there in the middle of the battlefield, in between the two armies, where he had put the chariot, right there and there, he taught. Because the same word, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, Ratham Sthapaya Me Achyuta. Remember that. Where does it come? Which Upanishad? Gita, the first chapter. Yeah. So, he says the same word. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, Ratham Sthapaya Mechyuta, Yavadetan Nirikshyeham, Yodhukamanavasthitan, Kairmaya Saha Yodhavyam, Asmin Rana Samudyame. In between the two fighting armies, place my chariot, oh Achyuta. Yeah. He says that. And that same Senayor Ubhayor Madhya, meaning they have not moved. They are still in the same place. And the teaching is not, you don't need a special place or a time for the teaching. You need a special preparation. Yes. And he was in the same place where he was. And then what? One more word is there. How did he teach? Prahasan iva. And he had a small smile, like Dakshinamurti has a small smile playing on his lips. This fellow also had a small smile playing on his lips. Prahasan iva, as though he was smiling. And here Arjuna is coming with 5 buckets to contain the tears. Yeah. and making himself totally naked and vulnerable emotionally, and says, I don't know what to do, you are my teacher, I surrender to you completely, please teach me. And what does Rishikesha do? Smiles. You know, this could be seen as insulting. Yeah, this could be seen as, what? You're laughing, I'm going to biff you. Because you're laughing and I'm telling you my, dukh bhari kahani. What is that? My story filled with, rife with tears and strife. And I'm telling you this tear-filled story, which is dripping with tears. And then you are smiling. How can you be so cruel? He's smiling because he's Bhagavan. He's smiling because, really speaking, all this, he sees that this affliction is not real. Thank God. Yeah. It's like someone who comes running in, catching a leg, their own leg, and saying, I have been bitten by a snake. Upon examining the leg, indeed the whole body, there is no bite marks. Then you go outside to examine the snake. And what do you find? Rope. Aropaha, simple. So, you find a rope. And the person is still jumping up and down, completely hyperventilating and pointing to the rope and saying, see, look at how mean it is looking. That is the one that bit me right now here. This is the one. And then what? It's no use saying this is not a snake. No use at all. Nothing will happen because the person is out of mind. So you have to go along with the madness for a little while. And you say, oh, that looks like a dangerous snake. Let's retreat to safety. Let's climb on top of this tree and look at it together. Okay. So they climb on the tree, Guru and Shishya, and look at the snake and say that, first he says, that looks dangerous. So it looks like it has bitten you in more than one spot. Yeah, actually now that you mention it, here also it bit, hand, leg, everywhere it is bit. And so the teacher all the while he is playing on, is to help the student come to the place of calmness. He is all the while smiling within because this is not real. What is the bite and what is the snake? Ajnana sarpadashtaha, bitten by the snake of ignorance. That is what it is. There is no snake. Who knows?
Krishna.
Teacher knows. Student is yet to know. So the teacher knows this is not real. And this, what is being taken as real, is not really affecting the situation. So the teacher can afford to smile. That is one reason he's prahasanniva, present continuous, smiling constantly. He smiles through from the 2nd chapter to the 18th chapter. He doesn't stop smiling. It's a present continuous. Yeah. He doesn't, he doesn't say prahasya, means having smiled. He doesn't say, And he says prahasanna, continues to smile. Because the teacher knows this is not real, one reason. The second reason also, the nature of the Atma is that which makes you smile. If the nature of the Atma was gloomy, boring, sad, then you don't have to smile. In fact, you cannot, correct? Yeah. But what is the nature of the Atma? The nature of the Atma is all joy, all knowledge, nothing afflicting. And so the one who knows here, in this case, none other than Bhagavan, is smiling, is not taking it too seriously. And that's when the knowledge becomes convincing, when the teacher occasionally smiles. Otherwise, imagine the teacher of Vedanta saying, well, the Upanishad says that we are all Brahman. What is this Brahman? It's just happiness. Just wonder. It's a wonder. It's so happy. It's endlessly joyful. And it is Ananda. And Ananda means free of limitations. Who is that? You. I. All of us. Who will listen to such a person? Yeah. This will make the student smile, you know, or laugh outright at this teacher. So here, you know, this is not like teaching microbiology. If you teach microbiology, you don't become a microbe, correct? Yeah. But if you teach Brahman, you really are one and the same as Brahman, and it just gets demonstrated in the course of the teaching. Yeah. Your Brahmanhood, the teacher's Brahmanhood, everyone's Brahmanhood, you know, even the hoodie's Brahmanhood, that itself gets established in the course of the teaching, because what one is doing is uncovering the truth by dismissing the non-existent things, the non-existent snakes and their bites, along with their bites, you know, and their non-existent fangs are being dismissed. And here it's a place where you hang up all the notions and hang-ups. You hang up the hang-ups and then walk into this classroom which is exuding this oneness, which is the source of smiling, which is the source of all smiling. The Vidya is like that. Oh, you know, because it is about you. And you are worth smiling about, because you are the source of all happiness. So therefore he is smiling. So, Prahasanniva, He Bharata, he said unto him who was afflicted, he talked and said something. What did he say? Shri Bhagavanuvāca Ashocyananvashocastvam Prajñāvādāṃsca bhāṣase Gatāsūna gatāsūmsca Nānuṣocanti panditāः Yeah, there are different ways of consoling someone who is afflicted. And this Krishna's verse here, you know, if you read the translation, what does it say? The wise do not grieve over that which should not be grieved over. That is what the translation is. You do not deserve to grieve. You know, if a friend said that to you, you feel like, you know, throwing something at them. Because this is not what you expect from a friend. What do you expect from a friend? Oh, poor thing. You know, let me apply some non-existent balm to the non-existent snake bite. You know, or show you how to heal this. I'll do some Reiki on you. And so, why Reiki? So that you will stop feeling so shaky. And because the friend will take the sorrow to be real and give the relative, you know, and validate the sorrow. The friend will validate the sorrow, and even the therapist. The difference between the therapist and the friend is one you have to pay and the other one you don't, you know. You pay in other ways. You listen to them and validate their sorrow. You scratch their back, they scratch your back. That's all it is. So here, the friend's reaction to this is, oh, you are in a terrible situation. Not that the person feels better upon hearing this, but at least feels validated. Oh, okay, I'm not crazy. This is indeed a bad situation. Or, I don't know what I would do if I was in your situation. You're doing better. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So the solutions are again very subjective and then impermanent. Here, if Arjuna wanted an impermanent solution, he would have gone to so many of his friends and then wept on their shoulders. So many relatives were there, friends were there, standing right next to him. And on the other side of the battlefield, he could have gone and wept on any of their shoulders. They would have said, there. You know, I know it's hard. They would have patted, could have gone to Kunti and cried in her lap. Mummy, I don't feel so good. You know, but that's not what he asked for Krishna. That's why it says, be careful what you ask for, because you may get it. So if you ask for the knowledge, you have to be ready to take what objectively the advice or the statement that is given. You know, so that is what the understanding here is. And so that's why, because he is asked for the knowledge of the self, which is called Shreyas, which is absolute, which is that knowledge which dries out the greenery of the raga dveshas in samsara by what? By interrogating that which is tilling the ground of ignorance. That self-ignorance is no longer refueled, that self-ignorance is removed, and the fertility of this ground, it has no, the raga dveshas only grow on a fertile ground of ignorance. When the ground is no longer ignorant, raga dveshas automatically die off. You don't have to go after every raga and dvesha. You know, so therefore he is telling him, you know, that absolute Shreyas, from that standpoint, he is saying this sentence. It's not that he is unsympathetic. That's why it was said that he is smiling. He's not unsympathetic. He's kind of smiling more as a, what's its name? More as a, like out of a sense of affection. Like, look at how far you have come. You know, he's kind of proud of him. And out of a sense of affection, oh, you have come this far to be able to ask this knowledge. Not bad. So, you see, so he knows he can take it. And often this is the mistake that one makes in asking for this knowledge, or even in the course of the teaching, that one wants to be validated all the time by the teacher. You know? And any kind of thing that the teacher might say is taken as some kind of a grist for the mill of insecurity. Yeah. Even if the teacher doesn't say anything, it becomes a problem. And so therefore what? Therefore here, you know, this is what is the metal of Arjuna's Shishyatvam. He doesn't run away when Krishna starts to talk. And Krishna's words are bringing in some hard to hear truths. Very difficult to hear truths are being what? You know, being brought out to air in front of everyone. And what is that? You are uselessly grieving. In fact, there is no reason for sorrow. If you are sad, you are not understanding the truth of yourself. You talk like a wise person, Pandita, but your actions are otherwise, pun intended. And you say all these things about dharma, but your behavior is totally, you know, one of total confusion and wrong thinking. And you say that you are an expert and you should not kill your own people, but yet you are coming close to abandoning your duty and getting that dereliction of duty, getting that epithet. So you are a confused mess, no wonder. You know, that's what the teacher says. You are confused, and this is a messy situation because you have brought yourself to this situation. You definitely need help. Yeah. Ashocyan, and your problem is Ashocyan, that which should not be grieved over. Anu ashochaha tvam. Anu ashochastvam. You are grieving after that which should never be grieved upon. Who are you to tell me what I should grieve on and not? This is not a choice. Grief is never a choice, it's helplessness. Yeah. That's why Krishna can say this. Ashocyan anvashochastvam. But then you talk very pragyavadamsha bhasha, say you just gave me a lecture on dharma, and then you gave me a lecture on guru, you gave me a lecture on elders, and you gave me a lecture on what is your swadharma and all these things. But your behavior is not like the prajna person. You know, your behavior is, you take away the pra, your behavior is agnya, not prajna. There is no prajna, there is only you are agnya, agnya. Yeah. So, you are not prakarshena agnya, you are, you know, na janati iti agnya. Who likes to be called ignorant? No one. But Arjuna is made of strong metal. He has not, spent 12 years in the forest and all this. He has, you can see that he has the emotional maturity and the perseverance to hear these hard truths about himself coming from the teacher without, without blaming the teacher or blaming himself or sinking into a further depression. He's able to hear it. This is a very brave thing that he's doing. And so more we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Shinshin.
Huh?
Shinshin brought that.
Ah, she came today?